All right, and welcome. This is the Vinny Show. I'm your host, Vinny from South Philly, and today's guest is filmmaker Ray Martin. Ray, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate this. This is something I've been looking forward to for some time now, and it's an honor and a pleasure, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm doing awesome. Down the shore in my car. My kids are still sleeping, so I'm in the car doing this interview.
It's the best part of the day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I,
Excuse the double chin over here.
listen, I got you beat. All right, so for those for those that may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself. I introduced you as a filmmaker. You're much more than that, but tell us a little bit about yourself, right?
Yeah. So my name is Ray Martin. I have been making movies now for the last 3 years. I was attempting to make a movie for 10 years prior to that. And I was a kid actor prior to that. So I'll tell you, I guess, kind of from the beginning. I got bullied as a kid. Didn't have many friends. I was an only child. Father worked night work. Mother and I were home. And all we did was watch movies. She was my best friend. And I learned so much from watching movies. And from about 10 years old, Goonies, Stand By Me, The Sandlot, then, at a young age, Goodfellas, Bronx Tale, Platoon, you name it, I watched. I probably should have been watching, but I was watching, and I learned a lot. So I knew at a young age that I wanted to be an actor, and I knew that I wanted to have my own business. They were my two goals. I had no idea how to do either. So as I grew, I would say the Sandlot movie really gave me the most confidence at a young age, because at the end, Smallz has friends, and I made me think that I would have friends, at the end. Gave me hope, I told my mom that, and she said, well, you'll always have me no matter what. And I know that she loved me, and she was my biggest supporter. And she found me this manager that was like Estelle from Friends. She was a chain smoker and wore a horrible tracksuit. And we met her at the Philly Airport Hotel, and she promised me the world. And she got me this show called Ed. And when I got there, a crew van picked me up on 15th Street in New York City. It was my first time ever leaving Philadelphia. The van took me to Montclair, New Jersey. People were making fun of my accent along the way. These kids were from all over the place. And when I got there, I said, where's my trailer? And they said, you don't have a trailer. You're an extra. I said, what's an extra? And they said, just go over there and stand with everyone else. So I did. And I got hungry. And I went over to what they call a craft service table, which I know that now. And this guy came over, and he's like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm hungry, And he goes, well, are you working on the set? And I said, yeah, I just found out I'm an extra, whatever that means. He goes, okay. He goes, what else you have going on? And at the time, I was going to be auditioning to be a VJ, like Carson Daly. I was popular back then. And I told him that. I said, how about you? Where are you from? He said, I'm from Canada. I said, they have MTV there? Because I never met anybody from Canada. And he was like, yeah, I'm from Canada, not Mars, buddy. Calm down. He goes, you're funny in a goofy way. I'm Tom Cavanaugh. And I said, well, I'm Ray Martin. He goes, no, I'm Tom Cavanaugh. I'm playing Ed. This is my show. He goes, how would you like to come back as a series regular as one of the high school students? We'll get you in the Screen Actors Guild. So I got in SAG my first day.
Wow. And
I had a steady gig. And then during hiatus, I would work on Sopranos and Law and Order and anything in New York as an extra. And then I would get bumped up to being featured. I think the highlight of it all was I could work on a movie here and there and kind of see how things work. And I would always get bumped up because somebody would know somebody. The prop girl would know somebody, or be the same prop person on another set that knew me. That's kind of how the business works. It's all about who you know a lot of times. So as we move forward, I get a call that my mom is sick. I go home. She has colon cancer, spread throughout her body. She had it for 12 years. And the reason why it spread like that was because she never went to the doctors, because all she did was care about taking care of me and never cared about herself, never took time for herself, and was too busy running a cleaning business that, you know, got me, everything I needed. And at the end of the day, right before she passed, this movie called Down to Earth with Chris Rock came out. It was a Heaven Can Wait remake. Heaven Can Wait is a great movie with Warren Beatty, where he comes back and he gets to choose a couple bodies to go into. Well, Chris Rock kind of redid that and made it where he could go into a white old rich man's body. And the scene I was in with that, I react to him rapping to DMX as a white old rich guy, and he gets knocked out, and I do like a reaction. So I took my mom to the theater, and she was frail and sick, and when my part came on, she smiled, but she got up to cheer and say, "That's my son." And by the time she got up, I was off screen and Chris Rock was on, and everyone was like, "Look at this crazy lady. Chris Rock is your son? All right, sit back down." But yeah, but she got to see it, and a couple months later, she passed. She held my hand. I was with her for her last breath, and she told me that I was going to meet a beautiful blonde with a beautiful smile. Well, her and my dad were together since 8th grade. And he needed me, so I stayed home. I quit acting, put it on the back burner. Figured I would go into that next venture of owning my own business, not knowing what it was going to be. And developed a great relationship with my father, because it was just him and I. And then one day I was at this place and saw this beautiful blonde, this beautiful smile, and Andrea, my wife, and my mom was right. We met, we fell in love, and I said, "Hey, I have this crazy idea. I want to open up the country's first all-green chauffeur service, all hybrids instead of limos." She was like, "All right." She believes in me, That's what you need in a good woman. And she believes in me, and we did it, and we grew quick. And my dad retired a year early, became my first driver. My cousin Joey from Kensington, he quit his job at Home Depot and became my second guy. He taught me things about running a business and websites. Without him, I would, be nowhere. He's like my brother. And then we grew fast and strong. And maybe 5 years into that, I really missed acting, and the business was running itself. So again, I come to Andrea, my wife, with another idea of, hey, what if I did a TV show where I interview celebrities in our car? And this was before Seinfeld had driving in cars, or all those guys had the carpool karaoke, all that stuff. And she said, "Go for it." So I'm Irish Catholic. I believe my mom in heaven is always looking out for me. And I'm down in the city, and boom, I see Paul Rudd and Reese Witherspoon. And I'm like, this must be fate. So I go over to Paul Rudd. I introduce myself. We had a mutual friend. I explained to him what I was looking to do, and I asked, how can I pitch this show idea? And he gave me great advice and told me what I needed to do. I needed a synopsis and things like that. And right when we were about to finish our conversation, Reese came over, and she kind of gave me a look like I didn't belong. And I didn't belong, but I still felt like shit when she gave me that look, But he stayed and finished the conversation. But on the way home, I called my wife. I said, "Listen, I got great advice about the show, but I got another idea." Reese made me feel like I was going to steal Paul Rudd. What if I wrote a movie called Stealing Paul Rudd? So, listen, I'm not an English major. I probably don't spell good. I don't even talk too good sometimes. But I wrote 15 small scenes, synopsises of scenes, almost like Saturday Night Live, skits from my heart. And then I put it in a drawer. I had no idea what to do with that. That was the next obstacle. Well, I get a call to do car service for David's Bridal. I go in, I speak to the lady, and we hit it off. And she told me that her husband was a writer. He was I think he worked for a farm company, but he was also a writer. So we met. He was literate. He was nice. He made Stealing Paul Rudd a real script. And we went on a journey together, and we did what Hollywood told us. We sent it to different studios, who then sent it back because it's considered unsolicited material if it's not registered with a manager. So then we found a manager. So we still we're getting no's because we had no money attached. And then random people would come through Philly, and we would send it to them. Some were interested, some wasted our time. But again, it all came down, we didn't have the money to finance the movie. Even if they loved the script, we didn't have the money. All comes down to money, right?
Sure.
So like Christian Slater, Steve Guttenberg, let's see, Bradley Cooper. Oh, I got a good Bradley Cooper story. Philadelphia people will love that, right? So we come home from the shore, 1 o'clock in the morning. Robert De Niro and Bradley Cooper are filming Silver Linings Playbook on my corner. And I say to my wife, this has to be fate. And I call Walt. I wake him up. I say, how quick can you change a synopsis to make it Stealing Bradley Cooper? I go to CBS to put it in there. I'm looking for an envelope. All there is the from and to envelope. So we pick a random name on IMDb and put it as the from, because, hey, if he knows the person, he'll open it. I call my driver from the chauffeur service. I ask him, we came up at 1 o'clock in the morning, I asked him to be not Hybrid Planet chauffeurs, but Hybrid Planet courier service. Walt arrives with the new synopsis. We put it in, and my lovely wife says to me, you know what? You should put a cover letter. I said, okay. Dear Bradley Cooper, my name is Ray Martin. I believe in fate. Blah, 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 blah. I stick it in, seal it up, give it to the driver. He goes on set. We watch him from across the street. He gets in. He gives it to a PA. PA hands it to Bradley Cooper. We never see it again. Well, here we come to find out a few days later that the name that we picked is his best friend.
Wow.
Right? That he grew up with. So obviously, he was like, oh, all right. He opened it, read, and said, hi, Bradley Cooper. My name is Ray Martin. And he figured out, this isn't from my best friend. So Yuki Washington's been a good friend of mine for many years, and he's good friends with Cooper. And I told him one day, you have to ask him.
Ray, sorry to interrupt you. Why don't you tell the viewers who may not know, who is Yuki Washington?
Oh, he's from CBS 3. He's an anchor. He's Denzel Washington's cousin.
Nice, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he's a gentleman and a friend, and he used to have a show, I think, in the 80s where he interviewed young actors, and that's how he met Bradley Cooper, because Bradley Cooper's from Jenkintown, and so that was one of the stories. Steve Guttenberg, who people don't know, he was from Three Men and a Baby. He was Mahoney in Police Academy. He actually, we got a call saying he was signing on for it, and then it was going to be Stealing Steve Guttenberg, and then we didn't hear anything. He went dark for like 3 months. So we went to a Jewish synagogue where he was signing and confronted him. And I was like, what happened, man? And he's like, oh, I got a pilot. And I was like, a pilot is a TV show in LA when, you try to make a TV show and hopefully it works. Well, it never worked, I don't think. But yeah, so him, like I said, Slater. And then Jim Brewer, the comedian from Saturday Night Live.
Sure.
I love Brewer, and got to meet Brewer in person, and he was awesome. But again, it came down to money. That we didn't have money. I just always wanted someone who believed in the project enough to try to help us raise the money. I think that's what I always was searching for. So then we find out that John Cusack and Ralph Macchio are going to be in town for a Wizard World convention, it's like a Comic-Con. So I go down there, and their lines are like too long. And I see this guy. He's like my age. Looks familiar. Thomas Ian Nicholas from American Pie, also from Rookie of the Year. We talked for 3 hours about the project. He loved it. He believed in it. And he said, you know what? You play yourself. I'll be the guy. We'll do it. Steele and Thomas, Ian Nicholas. And for 6 months, I was on cloud nine. I cried. And I was going to get made. And he called me and said Mickey Rourke, the famous Mickey Rourke, called him and wanted to do a project that he was trying to do for many years. And he wasn't going to be able to do my project. So, no hard feelings. But I was dying inside. I was like done at that point. So, after that, I got a random call from the boxer Floyd Mayweather. One of his people called and said he wanted to meet me. We met, and he said, hey, man, I want to change the stealing Jamie Foxx and have Justin Bieber play you. And at that point, I was just happy to be talking to somebody with money, you know? So I find myself at 2:00 in the morning in Harlem with a bag of $1 million next to me, all his security guards, little Kim to my right, and trying to have conversations about where I want this movie to go. And he was just, surrounded by people who, the time I didn't have, like, the story would start, the story would end, the story would start, the story would end. There was too much going on around him for him to appreciate the story, but I appreciate him giving me the time. So again, I'm depleted, and I say, you know what? I'm going to make this on my own.
The people that were around him, so you're saying it was just distracted, or was it more like they were gatekeepers?
No. He was open. He loved the idea. No, it's just that when you're pitching a movie, you need attention.
Yeah.
You need to be one-on-one. And if somebody keeps coming up, you're not. So at the end of the day, like, I don't think he could get attached to it like I wanted him to, because the story wasn't all being taken in, because so many people want stuff from him all the whole time, like, or need him to sign this or sign that, or, but nice guy, just didn't work out. So, yeah. So, come home feeling depleted, figure, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. So one of my clients doesn't even read the script. We go to lunch. I kind of tell him my story from my heart, like a synopsis, like a sketch, kind of like how I wrote it originally. And he loved it. And he wrote me a check for $50,000.
Oh.
And I had no idea what to do, who we were going to cast. All I knew was we were going to make the movie. And we casted this kid named Christopher Morris. He's a comedian. His father is Speedy Morris, the coach, or the old coach of Drexel University, I believe. Or was it LaSalle? One of those. But he's a famous coach. Chris is a great comedian. He's also down at the Phillies game as like the umpire who messes with the Fanatic all the time. Like that's his gig. I think he has a burlesque show in AC now as well. So we get him. He had previously done a movie with George Wendt, Norm from Cheers.
Right.
He sent him the script. George liked it. George was in, which was amazing. And then 4 days before we're scheduled to shoot, I asked my writing partner, Walt, because he went to film school. He had the experience. And I asked him to direct, and he said yes. Well, a couple of days before we're scheduled to shoot, my producer calls and said, yo, I read the script. This isn't like the story you told me from your heart. You know, I want Ray's story, or we can forget about it. And I said, well, there's formats and things. And he goes, yeah, we'll figure it out. But I want your story that way. So I called Walt, and Walt was amazing. And he was like, go, direct this movie. Go, do what he wants you to do. You got my support. I back you, which was huge because that was going to be his first movie that he directed. You know,
Right.
What a good man, what a good person. And so then we were about to shoot, and George was going to fly in from Boston, and I found out he was doing a play up in Boston. So I called his manager. I said, would George mind if I come pick him up? Because it's like a 7-8 hour car ride, and we could have father and son bonding time because he was going to be playing my father, and we have never met before. And George agreed to it.
That's awesome.
So we got to do a road trip together as a father and son and discuss life. And he talked about Belushi and Farley and everybody I grew up admiring. And it was surreal. It was surreal. And when he came to set, he made me feel so comfortable. He was such a professional. He made me feel so comfortable that I still have to watch Cheers to fall asleep at nighttime because his voice soothes me. That's how. No, I'm just kidding. But I do watch Cheers every night, and I learned so much from Cheers. That the timing and the comedy, it was way before its time. But so George was great, and he true professional. Learned a lot from him. And then we had Jervis, who was my buddy, and we decided to do Stealing a Survivor, is what it was called. He was the lead that we kidnapped. And then we found this guy, Ian O'Shea, to play this crazy doctor. He's a great comedian, great actor. And then we put a lot of my friends in there as well, which worked out cool. And it all worked out. And we were going to have a friends and family premiere the week that COVID hit and the world shut down. So the premiere got canceled. Here I am with the movie. What to do? Back in a pickle again. How do I get this movie out to the world? So I find a distribution company called Breaking Glass. The guy's like, I don't really specialize in comedies, but you seem like a good kid. I'll pick it up for you. I'll put it on Amazon. I'll put it on iTunes, Tubi. Let's go. Let's do it. So we do it. And then my chauffeur service falls apart. I'm all corporate, so I go from 0 to 130 rides a week to 0. And I get medical anxiety. I have 3 kids and a wife, and COVID hit, and I had no idea what to do. I always worried about cancer for all those years. Now here's something else to worry about. So I had too much time in my hand. Too much time in my hands as a creative to think the worst of things. So I needed an outlet, and my outlet became writing. But again, I'm not a writer. So I go back to what I started with, writing sketches, writing synopsis. I live in Delco now. Delco is different. I love It's Always Sunny in Philly. I love Cheers. I love horror movies. So I thought, what if all that came together as one thing? So I wrote the Happy Hour Slasher. It's about a guy, me, Sonny. I own the last Irish Italian bar in the neighborhood. All the bars around me are hipster bars. And they're moving in, taking my business. Well, one by one, those owners start getting picked off, killed. And my guys come in and talk about it. And then my guys start getting picked off. It's a goofy, shtick, fun ride. It doesn't take itself serious. So again, I do that. I've really got my style down of doing the short scenes and just doing improv as we go. Working with my friends. Didn't have any names in that movie. Big names. Same distribution guy was nice enough to pick it up. Then I'm like, what else? What else? So again, I'm Irish Catholic. My daughter starts questioning religion, during COVID. starts reading the Bible. She says, "Hey, did Adam really come out of, or did Eve really come out of Adam's rib?" I said, "That's in there." I had no idea. I never read the Bible. Great older boy over here. And I said, "Wow, what if 3 guys on Christmas Eve were in this room and you didn't know if it was jail or purgatory? You know, that'd be cool." And then I'm like, I need to add some name to it though, you know? So I got Jake Matera. He's a local comedian. He's blowing up right now. I got Ian O'Shea again from Steel and Survivor. And I got my good buddy Damon Forte, who's just a great friend. And he did a small cameo in Steel and Survivor. And that was our cast. But I needed one more big name. So I was able to get Christopher McDonald, who is Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore,
right,
to use my car service. I had 3 minutes to pitch him on being my dad. He said yes. And at the end of the conversation, he introduced me to Tom Geary, which is Smallz from The Sandlot.
Of course.
We hit it off. And he had seen Stealing a Survivor. And he goes, "Dude, you should kidnap me." I go, "All right, I'll write something." Yes, but I had to get Christmas Reckoning done first. So I do Christmas Reckoning. Worked out great. Again, that's available now on Amazon Tubi. So Steel and Survivor, Happy Hour Slasher, Christmas Reckoning, all available for free on Tubi and on Amazon.
That's right. Point. Check it out, please. Any of you watching, make sure you support Ray and check those out.
Yeah. So that's all. They're all still out there. So then I'm like, okay, let me call this Tom Geary back, which was an honor because, like I said, getting bullied as a kid, The Sandlot got me through. So this was like 30 years later. He was going to be the biggest star in my biggest movie. So then I get Tony Darrow from Goodfellas, Joe D'Onofrio from Bronxtown Goodfellas, Leo Rossi, who I love. He's a great character actor. Leo Rossi.
Yes.
He was Bud in Halloween 2, if there's any horror fans out there. He's also a Philly guy. You know Leo?
I don't know him, but my good friend Sam Zada knows him very well. He did some movies with Sal's also a filmmaker, so yeah, they know each other.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So I get Leo, and then the whole concept of stealing or killing Smallz is this local Philly mob family are not earning money like they used to. They got to figure out how they can earn again. One of them happened to live in Ray Martin's neighborhood, my neighborhood. I play myself, and they tell the boss, "Yo, we heard this guy Ray made a movie with George Wendt, Norm from Cheers, where they kidnap a celebrity. We should kidnap a celebrity. We can make tons of money, be back on top." So the mob boss says, "Well, go get me Ray Martin." So they come to me on a Sunday when I'm trying to watch the birds. They bring me in, and he says, "Hey, I heard you know how to kidnap celebrities." I said, "I made a movie about kidnapping celebrities. I don't actually know how to do it." And he goes, "Well, you're going to have to learn quick." So that's whole concept. Killing Smallz is now available on Tubi and Amazon as well. Excellent. And that was fun. That was a fun ride. And then I wanted to do something kind of, a little more serious. Having 2 daughters myself and a son, I wanted to kind of reimagine like a Bronx tale, but a Philly tale off through a girl's eyes. So I asked Tony Darrow to be part of it, Louis Veneri from Bronx Tale, Joey D'Onofrio again. And the concept for Mickey is it's a 16-year-old girl. They're dirt poor in a middle-class neighborhood. The grandfather is who she lives with and her crazy uncle, Sal. And they raise her because the mom died giving her birth and she never met her father. And one day he says he's driving this Kim Alvin, who's like a Kim Kardashian type. She's a $3 million ring with no security. And he says, "Just once, I wish I was a prick because I would take that ring and we'd be set for life." And she takes that idea with her 9-year-old neighbor, best friend, Stella, who's my daughter, who's 9 going on 40. Well, now she's 10.
I know the feeling.
And they run with it. And that's called Mickey. That's coming out in September on Amazon and Tubi as well. So that's Mickey, and that was like my serious thing. Then we went and did a movie called Shoobies Down the Shore, which is I'm gonna put that out on YouTube just for fun. It's about 6 guys who have a guys' weekend and witness a mob hit on a pier in Wildwood Crest, and they have to survive the night during a hurricane with no weapons, and the bridges are up and no phones against a group of guys who did the hit. Then we did a sequel to Happy Hour Slasher. Again, that's just going around YouTube for fun. And then I thought, I always was a Woody Allen fan, and I thought, what if I could do a movie where it's like like all the characters are playing themselves? So I wrote this movie called Forget About It, and it's about Ray Martin, making his 9th movie. So yeah, it's called Forget About It, and he can't afford a mobster, so he hires a real life mobster, Tony Clams. Tony Clams has a hidden agenda that he likes one of the characters from Ray's movies. All Tony's mob guys are either dead or in jail, so he wants this guy to do him a favor and act like a mob guy to go pick up money. And if he does it, then he'll get him bigger parts, and he won't have to work with Ray Martin anymore. And the whole movie goes awry from there. So that's Forget About It. That will be out in September on Amazon and Tubi as well.
Excellent.
Then we did this movie that's coming out in September called The Birds with a Z, so we don't get sued. And that's where I met you, which was a blessing.
Likewise, thank you. Likewise.
Thank you. That movie is about four guys who hang in a bar called Craig's, and the guy who owns the bar, his name is Unk, and he's like a father to them, and they're like a son to him, and he's not doing well, and he owes the street, this guy Sonny, you, 25 grand because you've been keeping his bar afloat this whole time, and he owes it on Christmas Eve, the same day that the Birds are playing in their biggest playoff game ever, to go to the bowl. So yeah, then also the news comes. This guy Rob, who plays the news guy, Robert Powell. He's a great, fun guy. Known him for a long time, and he plays like an anchor who wants to do a story about Unk's bar the same day on Christmas Eve. So all this is going to happen on Christmas Eve, and then Unk asks us to come help him set up because he's nervous, and we get there, he's dead. So I say, whoa, don't call the cops, don't call the ambulance, let's keep him here. Let's Weekend at Bernie's him, like one last send-off. So the whole night happens around a dead guy. Did you have fun working on that one?
I had more. It was a blast. I mean, I can't tell you how much it, not just fun, but also like meeting all your friends, all those guys that they were so cool. And you know what? I was like really impressed by their acting ability. I mean, and they were just, it was just a great experience. It really was great.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed having you. I can't wait for that to come out. So The Birds, that will be Amazon and Tubi as well. And then I was like, what am I doing? I'm Irish. What am I doing all these mob movies? I got to do something. So I made a movie called Special Victims Unit. Special Kind of Stupid. We're 6 cops that never had a case in 20 years. And we're a month out of retirement. We get our first case, a missing kid. And it just falls apart. And it's shot POV style because a documentary crew is filming our last month. So it's shot like The Office with the zoom lens and interviews and fun stuff like that. It's kind of like a Reno 911, movie.
Right.
Again, that's September. And I think, oh no, then here's the crazy thing. So I loved horror growing up. I loved Michael Myers, Halloween movies. I kind of, just wrapped The Birds a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, the only thing I haven't done is a thriller horror. So I have this concept that we're going to film next month. It's called The Patrolman. It's my next project. It's my first horror thriller. And I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to keep it throw
Yeah.
it. You'll be surprised. That's what I
Good.
should do. Shut my mouth for once.
Don't give away everything.
So that's everything. That's brings you up to speed to Ray Martin, and I couldn't do it without my mom in heaven, and my dad here, and my wife, and my kids, and my family, and all my friends, and all my friends who star in all the movies. I am nothing without any of those people, and I'm glad that you are one of those now.
Ray, you're an awesome guy. I'm not just saying that. You're a really great guy, and I love your story. I love what you're doing. I love your attitude. I mean, you really are someone that's, you don't come across every day, and I mean that wholeheartedly. You're an inspiration. And I think and I've been listening to you very closely. I think the overarching theme is perseverance. You mentioned the word fate, and if I'm listening to what you're saying, I'm realizing that it just so happens you bump into this person. It just so happens you bump into that person. It just so happens you get a call back. So there is fate involved, but you've been committed to making it happen. So, when we do these interviews, I always like to have sort of like the lesson, for people that are watching it, that maybe they have a dream like yours, whether it's film or something else. And the key, the magic, ingredient is perseverance. You didn't stop. I mean, you took a break naturally, and I know that as well. Trust me, with the family and trying to raise a family, being a good father, which is a noble thing. Um, Sometimes you get pulled away from what you want, but then you get back on that hero's journey. And look at all these productions that you've been involved with and that you've made. So, I mean, it's a testament to you not giving up, you making a commitment, even through all this adversity. You're talking about, you know, uh, family passing away and COVID, and the momentary collapse of your business, and all these different things that, the struggles that maybe they're different for other people that are watching, maybe not specifically like yours, but along the same lines. So it's inspirational for me, and I think a lot of the viewers are going to feel the same way about that, because you're still standing, you're fighting, and you're thriving. So congratulations, right? You deserve it.
Thank you. And I want everybody to check out, raymartinfilms.com to kind of show you, yeah, everything we talked about. And my biggest thing, if anyone's listening for inspiration, so my best advice I can give anyone is, don't worry about what people think, because nobody cares as much as you think they do, right? Live every day like it's your last. Uh, you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse, so you can't take nothing with you. You know, uh, that goes two ways. That goes with material things, but that also goes with feelings. Get your feelings out. Get your wants out. If you go and you be a good person, the best person you can be, you die twice. You die once when you first die, and you die the last time that anybody mentions your name. So people remember good people. Contribute. I tell my kids, contribute, right? If one person laughs at something I did, it was worth making the movie. When I go and we have a premiere and I sit there and people laugh right when they're supposed to laugh, it's the best feeling in the world. And it's the best feeling knowing that when you make movies, you never die, right? They live forever, hopefully. So, and then you keep contributing what you said in that movie, what you did, making people laugh. Maybe they take something good away from it. Maybe they were having a horrible day and you just made their day. You never know. That's what movies are. That's what the movies are about. That's what movies did for me. And I hope my movies do that for somebody.
Absolutely. And I can tell for sure that if someone hasn't seen your work, they're going to enjoy it thoroughly. I mean, I was there. You were great. You were really great, and you were really nice enough to put me out there and give me a role in which I enjoyed. And now I got the bug. So whenever you need me, I'm here. But I seen you in action, man, and it's everything you're saying, spot on. And you, again, to use the word for lack of a better one, inspiration, very inspirational. So I think that everyone needs to, if they have a dream, they should get started. You may not have all the resources. You're not going to have all the resources. It's not how it's designed in life. But little by little, someone pops up. You get the phone call. You bump into somebody. Somebody recommends something. it all falls apart. You just got to do, or excuse me, it all falls together. You just have to do your part, and it'll work. It'll work out. Ray, I mean, this is great. This is probably going to wrap up our broadcast today. But I just want to tell everybody, please, if you haven't already, make sure you follow Ray. Ray, give them all the websites, give them everywhere that they can find you in your movies.
Yeah, just RayMartinFilms.com, where emotions meet comedy, and every movie pretty much is on Amazon or Tubi, or is going to be. The ones that are on there now: Stealing a Survivor, Happy Hour Slasher, and Killing Smallz are all available right now on Tubi and Amazon. And listen, if you are watching this podcast and you want to make a movie, and they're telling you out in Hollywood that you have to change your script or you can't find the money, find a way to make your movie, not their movie. Find a way, even if you have to make it a short to start, do that. Find a way, find your way. Just because it worked for somebody, don't mean it's going to work for you, and vice versa. Find your way, live your dream.
I mean, you probably could attest to this. It's never been easier for you to do that. I mean, with all technology, I mean, the fact that we're doing this show, years ago, you would need a studio, you would need, a whole staff, but it's just you and me, so it's never been easier.
God bless you.
All right. Well, listen, Ray, again, thank you so much. It was fantastic speaking with you. Really, I mean, not just entertaining, but just good life lessons and good reminder for everybody to keep fighting and keep working at their craft.
So, Vin, with this time, I have to mention a couple things that I want everybody to know about. Steve Morris. Steve Morris, I met him through my neighbor. One day he called and he said, "Hey, if you ever need some extra help with making these movies, I'd love to produce for you." He grew up a huge movie fan. He owns a bar called Craig's Tavern in Havertown, and the whole bar is loaded with movie pictures. And man, one movie turned into like 4 movies with him. So we call them Martin Morris Productions. Nice. It always says Ray Martin Films, but Martin Morris Productions. So he's been great to work with. And then I met another gentleman named Tom Rafferty, and he believes in me too. He produced Killing Smallz and a couple other ones, and he's a pleasure. And I actually put these two, they're neighborhood guys. I put them in the movies as well, and they actually work out real well too. They're having a blast doing it. So they're great guys. I have to mention. I mentioned Damon earlier. Damon, to me, he's like a brother, and I bounce all these ideas off him. God bless him, because I'll call him at 12 o'clock at night just to ask him if something sounds funny.
That's great.
And all of them, like my best buddy Rob across the street. He's a police officer. He works days one week, nights the other. The weeks that he works nights, we're having coffee during the day or having lunch, and I'm talking his ear off, and he listens. He's great. Luciano, Brian White, who's my cousin's buddy, but became my good friend. He's in all of them. Mary Pemberton, who's a neighbor. My wife who gets in the movies as well. My daughter Noah, my daughter Stella, Brody, my son, just every single person. Katie Fico and Pete Fico. He created my website. They're in all the movies. He did so bad on one movie where, because it was his first movie, Happy Hour Slasher. He couldn't get these words out. I gave him this beautiful monologue. So funny. It was supposed to be about the Sixers, and I kid when he said he did bad. He couldn't get it out, and I had him say, "You know what? Just say F the Sixers," and that made it. But the follow up in Killing Smallz, we made him, or I'm sorry, in this movie we did called Shoobies, he played a bum with no lines, and I took that bum and put the bum back in Killing Smallz, so he has a recurring bum character,
Nice,
which is great. And then my guy Joe Austin, he was a professional boxer, went to North Catholic, big son of a bitch, 6'5". He's been great. All these guys have it in them. Also, most important, family is important, but friends become family. but I do have somebody in my family who's been with me before anyone. My cousin Jimmy. My cousin Jimmy and I, our parents played cards together when we were growing up on Saturday nights. And they put me and cousin Jimmy in the living room, and all we did was watch movies. We watched everything. And we watched Rocky. We fell in love with Christopher Walken, all the horror movies. But cousin Jimmy's been with me from the beginning. And cousin Jimmy plays cousin Jimmy in mostly every movie. He also has expanded a little bit, but I got to say thank you to him as well. I want everyone to know that what kind of influence he's been. You know, he taught me kind of about comedy first before I even fell in love with Saturday Night Live, because he would see a dog and we'd be walking as kids and he'd be like, you know what that dog's thinking? You know? And like now I can just create a story about anything just from looking at somebody because of cousin Jimmy. So that's it. I want to make sure I mention everybody because, like I said before, I'm nobody without these people. So that's all.
And it goes exactly along with your character of being a grateful person. And gratitude, the more I get older, the more I realize that gratitude is everything. Just being grateful. And you're a good guy, and you know, and I can see it. I seen it on set. You mentioned Joe Wilson, you mentioned Damon, you mentioned a lot of those guys that we were on set with. I've seen it. Great people. And I like how you said, you know, friends become family. All right, folks, this has been Ray Martin, filmmaker and I'm glad to call him also a friend. And
Yes,
please, again, check him out. We're going to leave links down below in the description box where you can follow him. I encourage you, please make sure you click on all of them and support Ray. He's a great man and a great filmmaker. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe, add me, click the little bells and whistles and all that good stuff. And we'll see you again next time. Thanks again, Ray.
Take care.